This is why I love my life, Vortex. Because I can do shit like this. I mean, technically anybody can, but how few of them actually will. Oh, hey, there's one of my favorite places in the world. I love places that are really trashy. And there's like no shame. There's no shame in its existence, and there's no shame in going to a place like that when you're either really drunk or really desperate. I'm glad that those places exist. Waffle House is like a rehab clinic. It is. In a way. In a way. There's this comic that I saw a long time ago. He probably doesn't remember me, but I remember him specifically for this joke. He said, Waffle House, more like halfway house. It's so true. Because, yeah, it's either drunk people or it's like sober people. People that just want somewhere to go where they can just like be up all night drinking coffee, you know? I used to do that shit, and then I realized I don't need to go to Waffle House to do that. But I am actually waiting on my car. It's a discount tire right now, and I'm probably going to be here for like 3 hours because it's Saturday, which I'm assuming is their busiest day. But I filled my tires yesterday, and the right tire in the back was at like 15, and it can't keep any air, so I know that I hit something. Because there's so many potholes in Nashville, it's not even funny. But yeah, I brought all this stuff for me to do, you know, because I figured that this was gonna happen, where I would just be stuck waiting, and there's all kinds of shit to do when you're waiting, besides, you know, the typical thing that most people do, whether they're waiting for something or not. I feel like the technology has made everybody in that kind of state. Like it's put people in this like perpetual state of like agitation, and like they're waiting for something to happen. Which is what makes it so addictive, you know? So I was reading about how addiction changes your brain structure, and how your dopamine receptors respond differently. Like once you introduce some sort of drug, which is why I stress that everything's a drug. Like anything can have that sort of effect on your brain. It's just that certain things are way more likely to do that. And I guess that's why I always was up to snuff about the danger of social media and staring at a screen for too long, you know, because it just has this very transformative effect. And basically our dopamine receptors are altered whenever we process the information that, oh, this is going to lead to a reward. Like whether or not the reward is actually there is immaterial. It's just the idea of the reward, you know? Kind of like Pavlov's bell. So yeah, there's no getting out of this shit. I mean, with this technology, you know, civilization, this Western world has really dug themselves into. I mean, I don't even think I can call it a hole, because it's way worse than that, you know? And everything that this culture does is they just keep digging and digging and digging, you know? Nobody will put down the shovel because they look at everybody else doing that, and they're like, well, this is normal, you know? And I guess it's better to be a junkie and a robot and not have any genitals than it is to be different. So, yeah, I mean, people, it's their tendency to just go along with what everybody's doing, unquestionably, you know? Because, in a way, all those people that told me that I'd be left behind, you know, they were right about me. It's just that I don't see that as a problem, and they do. They don't understand, like, why I wouldn't want to be part of our society. But it's like a prison in a way. Like all kinds of mental illness, it's a prison. But if you know why those walls exist, then it sort of makes sense out of your existence in a way that I can't really explain to people that don't have that, you know? And maybe it is a cope. Actually, there's no maybe about it. It totally is a cope, because everything's a cope of some kind. If I were to get a smartphone and go on Twitter and sell my soul, I'd be coping with that. I'd probably end up committing suicide. But yeah, it's like everybody's coping with some decision that they made that might have not been the right decision. But you know, it's just what we gotta do. There will always be a part of me that feels somewhat guilty, because I know that I have this access pass to a lot of information that takes the rest of society like decades and decades to figure out. And it's only through pain and suffering that they figure this shit out, if they even figure it out at all. I don't know. I was thinking about like why I instinctively knew to get off psychiatric drugs, and I still became a drunk, you know, but I feel like I was already on that path anyway. I was already like wanting to self-destruct. So maybe the sole reason I started taking an anti-depressant was so I could jumpstart my way to becoming an alcoholic and a kleptomaniac. But I don't know, it's part of my story. It's a significant part of my story, so I don't regret it or anything. But that's also because I didn't stay on the meds. Like, I was on them and off of them, on them and off of them, because I just couldn't bring myself to continue to take them. Because I knew that they were fucking shit. I wish more people had that instinct. I wish I could pass it along, but I can't.